search and sorrow, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. It's time to honor those erased from her story. It's time to rise and take our place. In this moment we won't be erased. Time to rise, time to rise. Stand in our power today.
Welcome to our Kitchen Table Talks, a podcast of the public engagement initiative Suffrage Race Power, Black Women Unerased. I'm Gwen McKinney, creator of SRP Unerased. This trilogy of episodes is a homecoming of security, shelter, and self. The theme at this table, no place like home.
Most people was laid off in March were service workers. Most of those women worked in restaurants. They are still homeless.
One of the persons that's really close to me, she's kind of like my grandmother. She basically lost her housing to Bank of America. She had the house for 50 years. The bank took it back. And then with the little savings that she had, she bought that recreational vehicle, and then she's been posted on the street ever since.
I went from homeless to Harvard. The first memory I have of being homeless was when I was 6 years old. And I remember that the shelter was very large, very loud, and very bright.
I know hundreds of people that stay in a house, a trailer, or an apartment, have no water and no gas in Alabama. We have had people that stayed in the Black Belt in a county that had running sewage for years in a trailer park because the ground was so soft that they couldn't put sewage pipes in the ground.
Water is an essential resource, and unfortunately, it's something that's kind of been shut down because of COVID, Even at the parks, you can't even get water. Especially if you're used to living in the public, and now all these places, libraries, coffee shops, all these places where you could get these things, they're all gone.
School was an escape for me. And for me to have such a hard time when I did all the right things, I don't know how any other child is supposed to get through that. I don't know how any other child is supposed to thrive and survive.
We have places here in Birmingham where they have to use an outhouse in the largest city in Alabama.
When you're parked on the street, you're waking up to traffic, incoming traffic at 6 a.m. You're basically opening up your door to anybody that walks down that street.
It's really important to feel like there is something that you can strive towards, to feel like that there is a future that you can fight for, especially for homeless children, because you just see this one world where you don't see any sort of way out. You're surrounded by people who are stuck.
It makes me fully understand and wrap my head around why, as rich as the United States, we are rich, we have more technology, we have more money than anywhere, that we should be living in any type of poverty like a third world country. My name is Sheila Tyson. I'm the convener of the Alabama Coalition on Black Civic Participation and Black Women Roundtable co-convener.
My name is Khadijah Williams, and I am the Senior Education Organizer at Rocket Ship Public Schools in Washington, D.C.
My name is Jessica Prado, and I'm a multimedia journalist. I cover housing and homelessness in the Bay Area, and I also live in my vehicle.
Hi,
I'm Carolyn Malachi. Welcome back to SRP Unerased. Click your heels 3 times. Today, we're talking about no place like home. I'm joined by 2 guests with powerful stories.
My name is Stephanie Williams. I am a lifelong resident of Kalamazoo, Michigan. I am the first Black woman to lead the Kalamazoo County Board of Commissioners as the chair of the board.
My name is Stacy Moore, and I am chair of the board at a wonderful nonprofit called Women's Community Revitalization Project here in Philadelphia, PA.
Well, thank you so much, both of you, for being here today. No Place Like Home is the title of this episode. What does that 4-letter word, home, mean for Black women, for our legacy, for our security? Stacey, let's start with you.
I'm a card artist, and so it's incredible that you asked that. I was lucky enough to participate in a initiative that started in 2017 by a group of artists through the Philadelphia Museum of Art. One of the cards that I created depicted my own story. And so I was once homeless many years ago and had to stay in a shelter. And so the card showed a hand reaching out, like one segment of the card showed a hand reaching out in the darkness. And then the other segment showed a hand holding a key leading up to a doorknob. And then the other segment showed a woman laying on her bed and all these words above her head that what represented for her, which was me, represented home, which was sanctuary, security, safety. Being able to simply say, to breathe that sigh of relief, especially during this pandemic right now. I feel like it's such a great illustration that nothing really says safety during this time. Like being able to have shelter where you can feel safe and secure. Home is definitely safety and shelter. And I feel like everyone deserves to have that.
Stephanie, what's home for Black women?
Home for Black women, particularly for me, is really about security. Having that space, that safe space where you can learn from your family, where you can build trust, build relationships within your inner circle. And I also believe in terms of home, it's not where you live, but how you live. So wherever you live, whatever that space is that you call home, you can create it to be that comfortable, that inclusive, that warm and loving place where your love grows, where it blossoms and it touches the lives of other people.
Let's dig into that a little bit. And I'm wondering about affordable housing, and Stephanie specifically, if we can get into your bag a little bit as a former county commissioner, all the roles that you've played in public roles of service. Can you tell us what is the role of government in making sure that there is quality, affordable housing? Where are the gaps and where are the opportunities?
Well, I think government, especially local government, plays a crucial role in ensuring that affordable housing, that healthy and safe, accessible housing is for everyone. And not just to be able to rent, just to have a place over your head, but home ownership is critical. And the reason why local government plays a big role in that is because we are the stewards of tax dollars. People are getting up, going to work, earning their pay, and they're paying in to local government via their taxes. Local government, as well as state and federal, plays a critical role in terms of policy, ensuring that they have policy that's equitable, which is fair and just for every resident in their community, especially Black, Indigenous, and people of color, to have access to housing.
Stacey, I'm really curious about your perspective coming from the nonprofit space. especially in the face of gentrification with the widening wealth gap. Where do nonprofits fit into this?
First off, let me say amen to everything Stephanie just said. As a nonprofit, as part of a nonprofit that does exactly what she was talking about, and when you think about how land, in order to build affordable housing, you got to get the land. Land is power in our country. Be prepared that the people that already sit at the table are never going to willingly invite you to that table because it means a sharing of their power, and they don't want that. The city council here in Philadelphia, they have what's called councilmanic prerogative. That's basically saying, I'm allowing this person to build. And if you don't have that type of relationship with them, you can forget it. So that's power. Cities like Philadelphia, they were redlined, which meant that local and state and federal governments created policies back in the day. Those people, the reason why a lot of those people lived in those communities is because we were not allowed to go into suburbs. So you have people who were able to go to the suburbs and therefore leverage their dollars with those houses that they purchased and able to build wealth. Fast forward to today, and you have a lot of those people coming into urban areas, buying up properties, and those people that were forced to live there now are being displaced. So for me, not only do we fight for policies we fought for, and our organization has been a part of coalitions that helped to fight for Philadelphia's Housing Trust Fund. We have fought for affordable language in our Philadelphia land bank. We have fought for inclusionary zoning. And we've recently fought and won more money to be placed into the Housing Trust Fund because it really wasn't enough. And we're always trying to fight for legislation that will make money permanent money, so that organizations like ours that are constantly doing the work of building affordable housing can continue to do that work.
Carolyn, if you don't mind, can I push this just a little bit more? About a year ago, I had the opportunity in Kalamazoo, Michigan, to do foreclosure prevention. And it was due to taxes. And like I mentioned, we are residents, citizens paying taxes. And what I found is that we were going to properties primarily where low-income people were renting these properties. The property owners had been behind significantly on their taxes, although they have been collecting rent from the renter. The renter had also been paying their utilities and everything. And so we were knocking on the doors and posting notices on these homes where people were living at who had been paying their rent on time every single month. And so as I was going in and sitting at the kitchen table and talking to these individuals and trying to figure out what was going on, I was like, okay, here's the different programs and stuff that you can do. But then on the other end, being able to go into local government and be in the room and see how the process goes all along, we have to demand that local government has policies in place that protect homeowners, to ensure home ownership, but also to protect renters from landlords that are price gouging, but also who are not taking care of their business. And then we are paying and paying and paying, and we see no return in our investment.
What should folks expect if they've been impacted economically by COVID-19? Or how can city governments, how can municipalities, how can nonprofits help people who need the help? Hopefully we're at the tail end of this pandemic, but there's still a lot of strife, there's still a lot of struggle out there. What needs to happen to help this population?
There have definitely been other organizations that have taken on helping tenants as well as homeowners. And then some of it has also just been the fight. The money that we had won, which was like a good 70 million that our mayor put into the housing trust fund. Because of COVID, he had said, well, you know what? Because of COVID, we kind of can't do that. So we're going to take this money back. Sorry. And
wow,
we were just like, no, that's not going to fly. And at first, when our organization said they were going to do an actual action, I was like, well, who's going out in a pandemic to do an action? But the more I talked with our organizers about it, the angrier I got. And I said, you know what? I will join you out there. Why are we out here, though? Because this matters. We need that money to stay with affordable housing because it's needed. And just like Stephanie said, we all you have to become active. You have to disrupt. You have to. Sometimes it wakes them up. And it's not fair. It's not fair that you have to do it because sometimes you're finding yourself doing it over and over and over again. It takes all of us to be a part of it, to say enough is enough.
Have we really had enough? Are people that fed up? If so, why aren't we showing up or are we showing up? What's happening?
Well, Carolyn, I spend a lot of time navigating. I'm helping individuals who are often in crisis, who are in transition from, trying to find one housing to the next, people who are working. I have parents that are working two and a half jobs half the time. And then even some of their kids are going to school and working at the same time. The pandemic is real and it caused a lot of challenges for people because we aren't earning an adequate pay to take care of ourselves and our families. Many of us are doubled up in homes. We got one or two generations living in one home. Many of us are having older people that are at home that were sheltering in place, but yet others had to go outside of the home to go to work. So we have to look at the different aspects, especially of how COVID-19 has impacted our people in our community. We saw where our children were now home every single day, parents trying to figure out what they're going to do with the kids, go to work, and all of this good stuff. And those dynamics play a huge part in how we live in. So we have to really engage. Start with your local neighborhood association. Start with a community-based grassroots nonprofit organization that is doing effective work in the community. Let us come in and do some prevention, some intervention. Let us help you. Let us navigate you through these systems so that you can obtain what you need, maintain what you need, and be at a greater quality of life. Lastly, I want to say this. We have power. We have a lot of power. Most of us just don't know it, or we haven't figured out how to tap into it.
Can you talk to the people who are from the community, who've been able to establish wealth for themselves, who are developing in the community? What's their responsibility?
So that's a great question. Our people have bought homes that do not leverage our dollars to build wealth in such a way. And so once again, even though I'm going to be in this home that at least makes it affordable for me to live, if I so chose to sell it because we live in a capitalist society, I would not be able to benefit in the way that usually our white peers are. But I also think that probably there are grants and loopholes that we just don't know about.
Marcia Fudge is the first Black woman to hold the position of Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. If you had an audience with her, what would you say? Stephanie?
First of all, I would tell a sister, thank you. Thank you for standing in the gap for us. Thank you for being bold and fierce and doing all that you can do. But more importantly, I would tell her thank you for paving the way for other Black women and girls to be able to see and aspire.
Stacy?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, I'm going to say good afternoon or good evening, because I'm not, not going to have Marsha Fudge call me out. But I will tell her, that I'm very happy that she's in that seat, but we definitely need more. We need more money towards affordable housing, but more money towards affordable housing that remains affordable. Usually home ownership, when you're able to do that, that creates that stability that family, that person can now think about other things. Because now I'm no longer thinking just about safety and security. Now I'm thinking about, maybe I want to go back to college. Maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I want to become an entrepreneur. And it allows you to build, it allows for wealth building.
So true. Stephanie, what's your word?
People think that you got to have all the answers. You don't. Go in and take up space. And if you don't know anything else to do, disrupt. Because all of the mess that they've been doing all along ain't been doing us no good anyway. So just disrupt all of that stuff.
A lot of times people, though, think that, well, what is my one little voice going to do? It's when we all get together as a symphony. That's what works. That's what changes folks. That's what changes policy.
Once again, huge thanks to our guests, Stacey Moore and Stephanie Williams. My name is Carolyn Malachi, and I thought it would be cool to close this episode with a gift. Here's a musical gift from me to you. This song is called Nothing. The trend where my friends spend my ends and my family ascends, but I'm lost in the wind. Got a pen, I need a new blueprint. Got an inkwell for a brain, so I use it from the Holy Land to Harlem. They can't believe my column. I cause a problem with my big bottom. Stamp made in Africa, ancient, amateur. Needs more light, you should open up your aperture. The twit pick this, sun plus drums. I live off the total of my art. Things fall apart, they always do, but I voodoo like a Hutu with my Tutsi is the truth. See, brother, all you need is to fall upon your knees, fall upon the breeze, the rumor of a ludicruder, pure jazz crooner. Baited, make room for the elevated Joe Lens. CM, you know you wanna look at what I did with nothing. Turn a dollar into 10. Had to start over again. Hey, look at what I did with nothing. Nothing. I only wanna see hands of people who live unapologetic, love unconditional. Live on the dollar, rupee, shilling, rand, or euro. Currency is my only urgency. Currently, bury me in bills and I'll resurrect the industry. The end of me will never be the state of the economy. I'm gonna be rich cause I'm supposed to be. Keep a little secret in my hosiery. Tough skin, rough knees, goggles. You know you wanna look at what I did with nothing. Turn a dollar into 10. Had to start over again. Hey, look at what I did with nothing. Nothing. Look at what I did with nothing. Turn a dollar into 10. Had to start over
phone, shine a light on the world. You're in the zone now. Nothing can hold you down. All that we've done and all that was won, the wisdom we hold, the stories untold. Stand in our power today. Unerased, unerased.
Thanks for listening to Kitchen Table Talks, made possible by support from Groundswell Fund, Craig Newmark Philanthropies, the Park Foundation, and anonymous donors. Our theme song, A Black Woman's Love Song, features LaTasha Brown on vocals and Glenn Pearson on piano. Special thanks to producers Levi Perrin and Mashiva King, and host, audio producer Carolyn Malachi. We had help from Javita Hill, Linda Jackson Leslie, and the National Partnership for Women and Families. I'm Gwen McKinney, creator of Suffrage Race Power, Black Women Unerased, inviting you to tune in to our next episode of Kitchen Table Talks. Please subscribe and visit us online at srpunerased.com.